Steps in formulating a statistical mini-research. Step 1. Collecting data. This refers to the methods of gathering information needed for research. In conducting a research, our initial step is to gather data because you want our research to be result-based. So this can be done through survey, interview, or observation. Step 2. Organizing data. It categorizes and classifies data to make it more useful. Data must be in order for presentation and analysis purposes. Step 3. Presenting data. This may be tabular or using table, or visual representation by using graphs and charts. Then, data is easily understood if presented using table or by visual representation. Then, step 4, this is where the statistical tests will come into play. The analyzing data. This is the process of extracting from the given data relevant information from which numerical description can be formed. So in here, you're going to decide which measures of position is appropriate in a certain research. For example, is it quartile, decile, or percentile? And finally, this is where the conclusions are drawn, interpreting data. When the data were carefully and systematically analyzed, conclusions will be drawn. So its significance, its implications, the interpretation. So example of interpretation is, for example, in a 50-item test, 75% of the students got 40. Okay, so these are the steps in formulating a statistical mini-research. Now, what are the procedures in formulating a statistical mini-research? Number 1, think of a research topic that is timely and relevant. Note that the mini-research is quantifiable. So the research topic that you're going to think, it must be in trend or important. How useful is it? How will it answer the problem of the society or the school? Okay? So it must be quantifiable because you want to apply the skills that we have learned in measures of position in our previous lessons. Then, second, you're going to prepare, of course, a survey questionnaires or guide questions for the data gathering. So, in preparing the materials, of course, we need to consider the respondent's convenience in answering the questionnaire. So, it must not be, or the questionnaire must not be too long, just enough to get the relevant information and data for our research. Or we can also give a token of appreciation to our respondents for participating in our research. Okay? Anyway, it's just an option. It's just optional. Then third, we need to determine the number of respondents in data gathering using sampling techniques. So we cannot just get respondents according to our personal preferences. Otherwise, it becomes biased. So we're going to use different, any of the sampling techniques. So it can be stratified sampling techniques, cluster, systematic, random stratified, etc. Draw lots, all right, so that the respondents are not just selected according to our own preference, and the data will not be biased. Okay, the question is, how many samples are we going to take in a certain population? So, in that matter, we're going to use Slovin's formula for us to get the appropriate number of sample in a certain population. So, later, I'm going to show you how to use the Slovin's formula. But we need also to consider the confidence level of 90% gives a margin of error of 10%. A confidence level of 95% gives a margin of error of 5%. A confidence level of 99% gives a margin of error of 1%. This confidence level is, that is our claim. For example, our claim, we are 90% confidence that our claim is true. So there is always a margin of error in every research. In collecting data, we have this what we call outliers. So it means there are always reasons that there are margin of error in our research. Now, how to use the Sloven's formula? What is a Sloven's formula? So, n is equal to, or lowercase n is equal to uppercase n over 1 plus uppercase n times lowercase e squared, wherein lowercase n represents the sample size, capital or uppercase n is the total population, and e is the margin of error. So let us try this in this given situation. Grade 10 IPSJ has a population of 104 students. Find the appropriate sample size using Sloven's formula with a confidence level of 95%. So first, we're going to write the formula and lay down the given. So our population here is 104 and our margin of error is 5%. Why? Because our confidence level is 95%. Okay? So the decimal form of 5% is 0.05. Then substitute this in our formula and compute. And our n here is 82.54. Therefore, the minimum number of sample for 104 students is 83. So this 83 here is just the minimum. It means we can use 84, 85, 100, or even 104 to represent this total population of 104 students. Now, if we're going to use less than 83, like for example, we want to use 80 samples only, those 80 is they are not appropriate to represent 104. Okay, so we got this 83. We did not just round off the 82.54, but we round it up because our respondents is a person, a human being. So every human being is represented by a one whole. Okay. Now for our fourth procedure, distribute the materials to our target participants. Okay, in order to gather data. Then from the data that we have collected, so this is where we are going to apply our skills that we have learned previously. So organize, compute, analyze, and interpret the data that we have gathered. So this is where we're going to make a frequency distribution table. Then we're going to decide which measures of position we're going to use. It may be quartile, decile, or percentile. So after that, we can now start writing the main parts of the paper and finalize the conclusion. Then, from here, we're going to proofread. Okay, so the members of the group should proofread and reread the work. You can ask the help of your language teacher to check the language content of your paper, to check the grammar of your research paper. Okay, then lastly, you need to discuss this on how the measures of position have been applied in the methods of arriving to conclusions and recommendations. So in this part, you need the assistance of your math teacher. Okay, then you're going to discuss also the possible questions to anticipate the possible questions that may arise during the defense. Okay, now, what is the format of a statistical mini research? So chapter 1, so that's the title page. So in the title page, this is where the title is located. The title, the author, the subject, the school header, the International Philippine School in Jeddah. So that is located in this page. The date, and of course the proponent, you. Okay, and your group mates. Then in the chapter 2, this is where the introduction or the rationale of your statistical mini research. So you're going to write there the statement of the problem. So why did you come up with that particular topic of research? What does it do? How will it answer the problem of the society? All right. And you're going to write also the definition of the terms that you have used, especially if there are jargon words that you have used. Okay. And you can also write the hypothesis, your claims, or the educated guess. This one is just optional. Then for the chapter 3, this is where you're going to write the main parts of your statistical mini research. So the background of the study, the presentation, and analysis of the data. Okay, so you're going to write here, including the sample technique that you have used and the measures of position that you have decided to use. Okay, so you're going to write it here in the main parts. Now in the chapter 4, this is where the conclusions and recommendations written. So is your claim correct? All right, so this is the result of the study. Okay, and you can also write here for future research, for future researchers. You can write here your recommendation for further research. So you can write it here along with the conclusions in the test 4. And lastly, for the appendices, this is where you're going to write or you're going to attach the materials, the references, the related literature or the related studies. So you can attach it here. So including also the letter that with the signature of your parents, so that the respondents will know that you are conducting or you are officially conducting a research. So you're going to attach that letter here in appendices.